All right, any of that herd hierarchy make no sense to you? Any of that you just said, oh, Cowherd, that's nonsense. Any of it make sense or not make sense?
No, I enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot of good points. I agree with you with Buffalo. I've been high on Sean McDermott, the hire there with Brandon Beane for a long time. I think they've done a tremendous job. And for a guy from Western New York, it's good to see them back at the top of the NFL teams.
You have the interesting perspective on something I'm going to ask you about here, is that being on a Super Bowl champion and a high-profile team like Dallas, I always used to say with Muhammad Ali, everybody got his best fight. Like everybody that fought Muhammad Ali when I was a kid, it was the biggest fight of their career. When you're the champion, you get everybody's best fight, everybody's best punch. Go to the years following Super Bowls for you. The following year, what Tampa will go through now. And there is no sneak in the side door. It is, oh, here comes the best team in the league. Is it more difficult?
It is. And when you add in the fact that it's not just them as defending Super Bowl champions, but also everybody wanting to take down Tom Brady as well, it is challenging. And you have to your margin for error shrinks even more as a defending champion. And we saw that a lot during our run. I remember one of the times, I think we were 8-1 against the LA Rams, and they were 2-7, and they came into Texas Stadium and beat us. We just didn't play well. So you can't have those little mistakes. Everybody's gunning for you. I know it sounds cliche, but there is a lot of truth to that. And I think when you add in the fact that you've got Tom Brady as quarterback, I think that just adds to it for the opponents.
So you have Joe Burrow in week 1. And this is it's funny. I don't know what Zach Taylor is as a coach, but I did think when they played teams last year where they matched up okay, that they were very competitive. I like where Cincinnati's going. I think it's a really tough division. When you pour over film and you look at this Cincinnati team, where do they need gaps filled, Moose? Where do they need to elevate, and where do you like them?
I think the big thing, and we saw this a lot last season, it really comes down to how well you're playing in the trenches. And we can just go to the Super Bowl, and you got into that matchup with what Tampa Bay was able to do to the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw it in Dallas with all the injuries that happened early in the year and how that offense fell apart. Dak was able to keep it going for a while till he got hurt. But the guys up front are really what drives the team. And I think that's the one area that Cincinnati has really focused on. They brought in Riley Reef, kind of hold down the tackle spot, spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the ball. Larry Ogunjobi brought in from Cleveland, Trey Hendrickson from New Orleans. They've got to get better at stopping the run, especially the division that they're in. That's going to be one of the most important things. I think that's one of the things that we'll see against Minnesota. Minnesota was a top 5 running team last year. One of the things that Cincinnati wants to get better at is stuffing the run because they play Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh's going to go back to some of that old school style with Najee Harris as their top draft pick. So, being able to stop the run, being able to protect Joe Burrow, that was primary with everything they did in the offseason. Was we have got to do things to protect Joe Burrow and keep him healthy all season.
By the way, the Vikings are at Cincinnati. And I believe Mike Zimmer is a very good coach. I do think their San Francisco and Minnesota last year fell apart physically. And every year in the NFL, we not only have 4 new playoff teams, 4 come in, 4 go out, but we have a team that doubles their win total every year in the NFL. And I kind of feel like it's Minnesota this year, that I really like Zimmer. I like the staff. Again, what do they have to do they didn't last year as you pour over film for your opener?
Well, the big thing is they've got a lot of guys back on the defensive side of the ball. You're right. They were really hit hard by injuries. We talked a lot about San Francisco, but Minnesota was in a very similar situation. When you talk about, Mike Pierce opted out, Anthony Barr goes down in camp. It was unbelievable for him. Just a number of guys on the defensive side of the ball that weren't there. It was one of the worst ranked defenses, if not the worst ranked defense in Mike Zimmer's tenure. So that's the area they're going to be focusing on, is to get back in touch. And one of the odd things is even year seasons, Minnesota has struggled under the Mike Zimmer regime, but they've always bounced back in the odd years. So we got 2021 coming up, so they should be able to bounce back. But again, I think exactly what we talked about with Cincinnati, it's going to be similar with Minnesota. It's going to be that offensive line. A lot of changes in the offensive line, and Christian Darrisaw is not going to be available week one. The guy that they drafted in the first round to be their left tackle as an anchor. So, how does that offensive line play? Because that's what was driving that team last year. It was the offense that kept Minnesota in some of those games. Obviously for the first time, much better than the defensive side of the ball. For Mike Zimmer and his team. So again, I think it's going to be what happens on that offensive line. Defensively, they're going to take a huge step because they've got a lot of guys back and a lot of guys healthy.
Moose, when you live in the Dallas area, so you hear the radio, you read the papers, you see this team discussed a lot. And listen, hard knocks or not, last 20 years, they've been good, never special, disappointing, rarely awful. I do worry about the Dak shoulder issue. He hasn't taken a hit in live football in 11 months. Your kind of thought on Dak's health and where is Dallas today for you with Dak, their comfort level? What do you expect this year from your former team?
Well, I expect the offense to be good. There's a lot of talk about Ezekiel being down, being quicker, being more explosive. I thought he got off to a good start last year. I think the fumbles really got into his head and it impacted his running style as much as anything. For Dak, I think he's going to be similar to what we're going to see with Joe Burrow in that Cincinnati, Minnesota game, is just having people around his legs while he's in the pocket looking downfield. How quickly does he get comfortable with that? There's so much that goes on at the practice facility that we're not aware of that give the coaches confidence. And you have to understand and you have to believe that component. I think the big thing about the shoulder, and you bring up a good point, I think what a lot of people are worried about is the Cowboys immediately went to rest right away. And that was one of the things that they were told by everybody in baseball that they went to, because this is something that's more consistent with baseball and with pitchers. And it was rest immediately. The quicker you get on it, the quicker you rest it, the better chance you have for this not being an issue during the course of the season. So did they get on it quick enough, and did they have enough time to get that rested and healed? I think that that's something we're going to have to wait and see and let that play out all season long. Where are they going to end up? They've got an opportunity, to win the NFC East. They really do, but they've got to stay healthy. They're the typical team that's up against the salary cap that doesn't have a lot of depth. They did a good job weathering the storm last year in certain areas, trying to fill some of those holes from what happened with all the injuries they had during the course of the season last year. If that happens again this year, you could see something similar, but I think they feel a little bit better because guys got snaps and they were able to address it with better people. I think they're going to be much better on the defensive side of the ball with what Dan Quinn has put in place there. Obviously, there was a big emphasis in the draft. I think they've got better personnel fitting the scheme than they had last season. So that's going to be a big plus for them as well. So I think as a team, offensively and defensively, they should be good. But we can't forget about special teams. And that's an area that I think there's a little bit of concern there for me. John Fossil and what his group did last year, they were very inconsistent at times. Greg Zuerlein coming off of back surgery in the offseason. There's a little bit of unknown there, and it comes really down to kicker, punter, and long snapper, your three key guys when you talk about the special teams components. So if they're able to stay healthy, because I think the depth is still not there as a team that's pushed up against the cap, that's going to be the biggest thing. If they stay healthy, I think they can be very competitive in the NFC East.
Good stuff, Moose. He's got the Bengals this week hosting the Vikings. Two teams trying to bounce back, especially Minnesota. Sunday, 1 Eastern on Fox. Moose, great seeing you.
Always good to see you, Colin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.